Hello and welcome to Women in Retail Talks, the podcast where C-suite executive women in the retail space share their stories of professional growth, leadership development, personal journeys, and more. I'm Christina Stidham, Digital Content Director at Women in Retail Leadership Circle, a membership-based community of executive women at leading retailers and brands. This bonus episode of Women in Retail Talks features part of an interview with one of Women in Retail Leadership Circle's top women in retail honorees, Courtney Kissler. Courtney Kissler is Senior Vice President and Chief Technology Officer at Zulily, an online superstore committed to delivering a fun shopping experience for moms without breaking the bank. You can learn more about Courtney and read interviews with all of our honorees by downloading the 2023 Top Women in Retail report. Go to womeninretail.com or click the link in the show notes of this episode. Listen in as Women in Retail Leadership Circle Editor-in-Chief Jo Keenan chats with Courtney about her career growth, her advice to other women in technology, the leadership legacy she hopes to leave throughout her career, and more.
Let's start on your professional background a little bit. So you've worked at massive global organizations, Nike, Starbucks, Nordstrom, and you're now approaching 2 years at Zulily. So tell us a little bit about your career experience and how it's helped prepare you for your current role.
Yeah, I'm going to back up and include, I really started my technology journey at startups, and I'll connect why that matters with my current role. And then from there, yes, I went to Nordstrom, spent 14 years there, learned a lot, and then joined Starbucks and then Nike. And I feel like a lot of the experience that I've had has led me to having this balanced understanding of what it's like to be in a company the size of Zulily. So in startups, you're, innovation, growth, experimentation, test and learn. And at bigger companies, you're navigating a lot of, dynamics and learning a lot about what that looks like. And in Zulily, it's kind of a mix of both. And so I feel like my experience across both of those landscapes and environments set me up for the role here.
Great. So thinking about the technology sector, women have traditionally been underrepresented in positions in technology roles, not just in retail, but across many different sectors. Tell us a little bit about your experience as somebody that's worked in the technology side of business and what your experience is like a bit in your career, any challenges that you might have had, any sort of roadblocks that you might have encountered.
Yeah. So, I believe, we're all focused on continuously striving for inclusion, belonging, diversity across our organizations. And, when I started my career in technology, frankly, it started in college when I switched majors. There were very few women. I was one of two that graduated in the class that I was in for computer science. So learning how to just be very focused on creating the right environment, even before I moved into leadership as a peer, as an engineer. How do I continue to bring in more diversity into the teams that I'm a part of and practice that inclusion, make sure that I'm, asking for feedback and input across varying perspectives. I think the learning for me was be clear about what you want and where you want to go, be intentional. It is okay to say, I want to go this route and own your destiny. I think sometimes, there were times in my career where I sat back and kind of waited for things to come to me. And in reality, I've been, fortunate to express kind of where I want to go and have mentors along the way and people invest in me and help me be successful. So for me, it's how do I pay that forward? How do I continue to strive for that in the organizations that I'm a part of? And frankly, the broader technology community.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect segue into what I wanted to address next, Courtney, in terms of like the idea of paying it forward. With that in mind, what advice do you have for the next generation of women leaders? You talked about when you were in college, you were one of two in that program, that technology program. Tell us a little bit about what you think the next generation of women leaders, particularly those that are thinking about a career in technology, need to hear?
Yeah. I think for starters, it is okay to not know exactly what you want to do when you're still in, I'll just say, like middle school, high school, even early stages of college. For me, and the things that I look for and value are learning agility, problem solving, being able to understand how to look at a problem and decompose it in a way where you can actually, problem solve against it. So even if you're not sure, I think the curiosity that comes from just understanding, like, what might this career look like for me, and figuring out how to engage in some community to learn. And then for leaders like myself, we also need to show up in those environments and make sure we're available for mentorship and just being a sounding board. Often when I talk to, early in journey, so still in middle school, high school, even early stages of college, sometimes just hearing, like, what has it been like? And also sharing the challenges, because I think it's easy to talk about how great it is, but there are challenges. There are ways to learn and, I'll say, find your voice. How do you make sure that you're able to speak up and gain that confidence is something that I believe is an important, investment for us all to make, is to figure out how do we also show up and give people a kind of a path that they can see. Because sometimes it'll feel like it's not achievable, and it really is. It's you just have to figure out how to surround yourself with people who can help along the way.
Yeah, and yourself and others like you are living proof that, it is achievable, and, having an intentional plan and path forward. And you talked about the role that mentorship has had in your career as well. Shifting gears slightly, we've talked a little bit about kind of the professional development of yourself and others potentially like you. Let's shift a little bit into business strategy. And in your role as a technologist at a retail organization at Zulily, talk a little bit about, if there's a trend or two that you're closely following that you believe will have really an outsized impact on the industry, maybe even potentially just at Zulily, and then a little bit about why you believe that to be the case.
Yeah, so one of the things that drew me to Zulily is we treat our supply chain as a competitive advantage. We actually own our technology in that space. And as someone who's been in retail a long time, I believe that many organizations focus on kind of optimizing the front end experience for their customers, and supply chain and fulfillment sometimes gets left behind. And so what I love about our model is we are focused on optimizing for what we call pack factor, which is consolidation logic, and really making sure that we can put as much in a box before we ship it out of our fulfillment centers. And that's all, logic and strategy that we've owned really since the beginning of Zulily. And with that, and the connection I'm going to make to kind of why I believe that this is a trend and an important one, is the connection to being more eco-friendly and sustainability. We hear a lot of companies talking about that. It's natural for us. We already have goals and targets that we have set, and we are committed to meeting. And I believe because we have focused on that as a strategic advantage, we are positioned well to meet those goals.
And not only is it the right thing to do as a responsible organization to be sustainable, but also it just makes sense business-wise, right? In the example you gave, you're shipping more product in a box. You're getting that kind of economy of scale, and you're able to get more product out more quickly. And so I'd imagine there's some real business benefit too.
Correct. And customer benefit, because we can pass that value along to our customers as well.
Yeah, you always hear that from customers. And, my own personal experience is you get shipped this huge box and there's this small little gadget or whatever you purchase. It's like, and then it's just packaging foam and air bubbles around it. So, I think it's a great point. As you think about your career and moving forward, and couple years at Zulily already. What type of legacy do you hope to have? How do you really want to be remembered by those that you've led on your team, and others outside of maybe the organization as well?
Yeah. So I am a big believer in taking care of people and team first. I truly believe that when you take care of your team and you create an environment where, people can do their best work, I think that you end up delivering against the business outcomes. So I always want to be remembered as a leader who was connected to the team in a meaningful way, not just in words, but in actions. Can people come to me? Am I somebody that they can bring? I talk about honoring reality. And if my team isn't willing to bring me reality, then I'm not creating an environment where people can, they can speak up. And so it's extremely important to me. And I want people to remember me for creating that environment for them so they can grow and be successful. And then in turn, I strongly believe that that leads to business results and also competitive advantage.
Have you found that being a leader in the last couple of years has become, I want to say, more challenging? The role has evolved too, as people have become more hybrid in their work. Kind of attitudes towards work have maybe shifted during the pandemic. What has that meant for you as a leader? Does it change how you think about it, or it's, we adapt and you still have the same principles that you want to lead by?
I think the principles remain intact. Engagement matters. And I think that understanding the health of engagement is just even more amplified in the current state, and knowing what motivates and keeps your team engaged. It's not a one size fits all. And I think that's what a lot of us are learning is you really need to be connected in a meaningful way to each and every one of your team members. Now, at scale, that means you hire great leaders who are doing that, and then you understand it. So one thing that, I believe in and, we practice at Zulily is really having an engagement. Everybody does engagement surveys. That is not uncommon. We do a more frequent pulse check where we do something called Employee Net Promoter Score. So we can understand the health of the environment on a more frequent basis. So super simple. Would you refer a friend or colleague to your team or to Zulily at large? And that tells us a lot about what's working, because we learn a lot about bright spots and where might we learn from certain teams that are feeling very engaged, and where might we have opportunities to do something different. But I think it starts with that. It starts with really connecting in a meaningful way with each and every person on your team.
Yeah, and you often hear about NPS from the customer perspective as a tool to learn about customer engagement. It's great to see and hear the example of how you're using that as a tool to learn about employee engagement and improving performance within at Zulily.
Thanks for listening. You can learn more about Courtney and read interviews with all of our honorees by downloading the 2023 Top Women in Retail report. Go to womeninretail.com or click the link in the show notes of this episode. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at womeninretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review. To learn more about women in retail and become a member of this amazing community, visit womeninretail.com. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.